Hello everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Bible in 52 Weeks. Now, what if you had the job of communicating your nation's entire history, its rulers, wars, religious events, economic cycles, starting with the beginning of mankind? Well, 1st and 2nd Chronicles is that history for Israel. Although they're quite lengthy books, they're full of genealogies and records, but they're the records of God's long-lasting faithfulness to his people, even when they are not faithful to him. Why do we need the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles when we already have the history of 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings? Just as the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John each offer a different perspective on the life of Jesus, so the books of Chronicles present Israel's history with a purpose different than the other historical books. The books of 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings reveal the monarchies of Israel and Judah, in particular the sins of the nations that resulted in the exile. But the books of Chronicles, written after the time of the exiles, focus on those elements of history that God wanted the returning Jews to meditate upon: obedience that results in God's blessing, the priority of the temple and priesthood, and the unconditional promises to the house of David. The author, recognized as possibly being Ezra, surveys Israel's history as a sovereign state. David and Solomon are the key characters, as they were great kings who ruled all Israel from Jerusalem. The Chronicles record the history of kings through two lenses. The Mosaic covenant, which God made with all Israel after delivering them from Egypt, sets Israel apart as his special nation. The terms were that if Israel obeys God's laws, he'll bless them, but if Israel rejects God's laws, he'll discipline them. If you followed us across the Bible so far, you remember that the documents for this agreement are known as the Law of Moses, or the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible. The second theme is the Davidic covenant, which God made to David. David had planned to build a house for God, but God instead promises to establish David's family on the throne forever. God is faithful to his promise. Even when the northern tribes of Israel rebel, God keeps David's line on the throne in Jerusalem. The Davidic covenant is later realized in Jesus Christ, who called both the Son of David and Kings of Kings. But let's briefly take a look at the covenant of these two books individually. The book of 1st Chronicles covers the period from Adam to the death of David, and it embraces the same period covered in the first 10 books of the Old Testament up until 2nd Samuel. The book of 1st Chronicles has 2 main divisions. The first section is 9 chapters of genealogies. The genealogies begin with Adam and proceed all the way through the exile to those who return to Jerusalem. This section is often passed over as unimportant. However, like the Gospels of Matthew and Luke, the genealogies are selectively compiled to highlight the line of David and the tribe of Levi. The second part of 1st Chronicles, from chapters 10 to 29, record the events and accomplishments in the life of King David. More specifically, in chapters 11 and 12, David becomes king and secures Jerusalem. The rest of the account of David focuses on the 3 significant aspects of his reign, namely the bringing of the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, his military exploits, and the preparations for the building of the temple. 2nd Chronicles, on the other hand, as the last 2 chapters of 1st Chronicles record David's last days, the book of 2nd Chronicles covers the period from the beginning of the reign of Solomon and accentuates the sovereign deliverance of God. So, to summarize, Chronicles books essentially focus on 2 important themes: God's covenant with David and the temple. As you read 1st and 2nd Chronicles, you see that the temple of God is the main location of interest. David plans it, Solomon builds it, kings are crowned in it, prophets are killed in it, and the law is rediscovered in it. The temple is center stage in the drama of Chronicles. Thank you for joining us today, but before you go, we'd love to hear from you. Have you enjoyed our series so far? Are there any themes or aspects of the Bible that you'd like us to focus on? Please don't hesitate to leave your feedback and suggestions in the comment section below. We hope to see you again next week. Ciao!